Much of the talk these days, when you're talking about high-end optics, people are talking front focal plane, back focal plane, middle focal plane. Tim, I'm confused. What is all this stuff?
Well, there's either front focal plane or first focal plane, or
Okay.
second focal plane, rear focal plane, and they're positioned just like that in the scope, either in the rear focal plane, just underneath the power selector ring, or in the front, basically in the middle of the front mounting area of the
When you
main
say
tube.
focal plane, that's where the reticle actually is
Yes.
in the scope.
Yes.
I mean,
These-
physically, it's either one place or the other.
Yes, and these are the only two places within the scope that you can put a reticle and see it, so it's in focus.
Okay.
If you put the reticle any place else, it'd be so out of focus you wouldn't see it.
All right.
So that's the reason why we place them there. And the difference in what they do is most of the scopes we see today on the marketplace are rear focal plane.
Right. That's what most of us grew up with.
Exactly.
Yep.
Actually, in the beginning, they were all first focal plane.
All European style. I mean, but
Right.
we got to go back 60, 70 years ago when that
Exactly.
was popular. Yeah.
And then they started seeing the advantages of rear focal plane. So we'll talk a little bit about the advantages and disadvantages
Okay.
of both, because they both have their place.
Right.
But since the military has stopped going to all fixed magnification scopes, they want variable magnification for the versatility.
Mm-hmm.
They also want that same ability to range estimate and compensate via front focal plane. So everything you see today in military design is going to be front focal plane.
What do they get out of that? What's happening in there that makes it attractive to them?
Well, what happens is if you put the reticle in the front focal plane, the magnification happens in the erector system in this area of the scope. So if you put the reticle in front of the magnification, it's going to magnify with the target.
So as you vary the power, the reticle, the crosshairs actually get bigger or smaller.
And the target gets bigger.
And
or
the
smaller.
target, well, we know the target's going to get bigger and
You're
smaller.
right.
So the crosshairs, the reticle, stays the same size relative to the image.
To the image, exactly.
Okay.
Therefore, the subtension or the apparent measurement of the reticle is going to stay consistent throughout the magnification range.
So if there's a 10-inch block and there's a space, that's going to stay the same, like if it's a mil dot.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how far out or how close or how many you zoom in and out, that stays the same.
Precisely.
That way, okay, I get it. All right,
Okay.
now they can use that as a ranging.
Range estimation, or if they want to use it for holdovers, they can use it for compensating.
All right.
So the rear focal plane happens behind the magnification. So the magnification only affects the target. So the reticle actually stays the same size, but the image grows and shrinks. So the relationship between the two changes.
Right.
So if we have range estimation or compensation in rear focal plane, it almost always happens at the highest magnification of the scope. So if you have
Okay.
a 3.5 to 10, it's going to be on
You
10
got to crank it
power.
all the way up, and then you can see what the range is. Okay, I got you
Exactly.
there.
So why? Well, the advantage of obviously of the front focal plane is range estimation compensation on any magnification. Obviously, if we're shooting long range, either estimating or compensating, we're going to probably do it on high magnification. But with the military and their use of night vision, they need to be able to turn the magnification down in
Okay.
order to use their night vision gear.
Right.
And therefore front focal plane comes into play. It's also used for things like windage holds or short-range moving target holds via like a mil dot or something like that.
Okay.
So there is some application outside of night vision, but the downside of front focal plane is that when you want a fine crosshair, you've got big, because your
Right.
reticle is going to get big with magnification, and it's going to get small as you turn the magnification down.
Well, and as you know, and I think you do the same thing, for hunting, I particularly like a low-powered variable.
Right.
You know, the 1.5 to 6, 1 to 6, 1.5 to 5, and I like to keep it at that lowest power most of
Me
the
too.
time,
Absolutely.
because if something jumps up in front of me real close, I want to throw it up and be able to see. With a front focal plane, though, now my reticle is actually very small,
Exactly.
and I want it big for fast acquisition.
Exactly.
So I really prefer the rear focal plane for most of my work.
Yep. And as long as you understand that, you understand the advantages and disadvantages, then you can choose which one you want. I think right now a lot of people want to go to front focal plane because
What's the cool thing?
it's
too?
new to them, and
Yeah.
it's the cool thing, and the military's doing it. But the military's got a very specific application.
That's right. Just because that's the cool thing that they're doing doesn't mean it applies for our particular use.
Exactly.
Okay.
But we do have some great product coming out in front focal plane that is that's very applicable. Just understand the differences.
Like I say, and the key there is understanding not only what it does, but how to take advantage of it.
Exactly.
So if you're going to go with front focal plane and these very cool scopes that you have coming out, you need to learn how to use them.
Exactly. Whether it's a mil-dot style scope or if it's the new Horus Vision or the new CMRW reticles, all of those have magnification requirements of them in order to work properly.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. You make optics clear.
Thanks a lot, Ty. I appreciate it.